Hello, we're going to jump right into building internal motivation. Let's go. Our challenge question today is how can I serve students to build internal motivation? And this is the stage of the learning where we're accessing our prior knowledge. To write down anything that came to mind, even predictions or guesses related to the question. Ready, set, go. About halfway there. It's your last thought, words, ideas. Keep moving right along. Before we jump into what we can do to build inner motivation for our students, it's important for us to compare the two models of external versus internal, show us the value and the importance of us shifting more of our time and energy to serving our students to build their internal motivations. The external motivation model, it's really driven by rewards and punishment. Can we find just that right reward that's going to get a kid excited and motivated? Or can we find that punishment that's going to be just uncomfortable enough that they're going to be motivated to make changes? This becomes an endless pursuit where we're constantly trying to figure out what's that one thing that's going to work for that kid, especially when we start thinking about an entire classroom of 20 to 30 kids. It's a lot of time and energy spent. That's not an effective way to use our time because, again, something one day might get them excited, the next day they're, whatever. So we're constantly having to kind of chase and try to figure out things. And big concern with it is the kids start to attach their feelings, their positive feelings inside of them getting work done, of them learning something new, to these outside things, these rewards or these punishments. And they become dependent on the system then that they're not really focusing on the skills that they're building. They're focusing on the fact that, hey, I got this treat. Maybe at home, if a parent says, hey, if you don't finish this writing assignment, I'm gonna take away your Xbox for good. So the kid gets motivated, get their assignment completed, and all of a sudden they got their Xbox back. The positive feeling that they're attaching that work and that effort to is the fact they got their Xbox back. Or in the context of a classroom, maybe they have a sticker chart, and again, every time they get an assignment done, they get a sticker, and they eventually get a treat. They're going to attach that positive feeling of being productive, of learning something, to the fact that they got a treat, and so it becomes again a distraction for them, and really it develops a user mentality for them. So we want to kind of get away from this because it's not really serving their long-term needs, and it's very short-term focused, and it can work in the short term. It can help adjust behaviors. I've seen often though, as soon as you stop these systems, kids usually fall back into their old patterns and habits and routines. So that's why I want to shift more and more of our time to the internal motivation because it's student-driven. It's teaching them ownership over their learning, ownership over their actions. And the really powerful aspect of it is they start to attach those positive feelings of being protected, of learning something new, of persevering to the internal feeling. And that goes even down to the dopamine that's being released in their brains. So it creates this positive feedback loop where they like the feeling, they can pursue that feeling, and it can be something, again, that's sustainable for their life because they're always going to have that system in their brains to use. By doing that too, they're going to be more confident in their abilities to work through challenges and to learn new things and to improve and grow because again, it's that self-reinforcement, like, hey, that felt good, I like that, I'm going to keep doing that. And so they also build healthy independence where they are building these skills that they can adapt to no matter where they're at. It doesn't depend on the system or the adult that they're with. They can again take these skills with them no matter where they're at, which is going to serve them in their long-term development and success. So this is a longer term approach. It definitely takes more time up front, more energy up front. Again, the payoff though in the long term is going to benefit the kids. It's going to benefit our classroom. It's going to benefit our school. So looking at a pretty typical example of an external motivation model, student has not been completing their work and seems unmotivated. An adult implements a reward system that provides a student with 25 cents for each completed assignment. What are the potential drawbacks of this approach? That's the 20-second timer of think time, set, go. Finish that last thought or idea. If you need a positive video, by all means do that. So this is a pretty typical system I've seen in homes and at schools. Home, it's usually dealing with money. At schools, it's usually some type of sticker chart, and then kid gets some kind of reward at the end. I always ask, is it sustainable? And so in this situation, maybe this adult does have the financial resources. Can they consistently do this and pay for every assignment? On the student side, I've seen it often where eventually that 25 cents just isn't enough. Now they want 50 cents or they want $1 or they want $5. And so they start negotiating and it becomes transactional and they kind of form that user mentality, which further distracts from their skills that they need to build and focus on. I've also seen it too where a kid maybe has a goal of getting $10 so they can buy a specific toy. They work hard, they get those $10, and then that 25 cents, whatever. I don't need any more. I got what I wanted. So is it sustainable? I would argue that it's not. Is the skills building lasting? Again, this is realistically treating the symptoms of surface level behavior. They're not completing their work. Let's pay them to complete their work. Is it really digging into the skills building that's going to be able to take with them, whether or not the system is in place? And it doesn't look like it because it's not really figuring out what skills they maybe need to improve at. It's just, hey, I need to get them motivated to get their work done. So is the skills building lasting? I would argue that it's not. Going further, is the root cause being addressed? So are we really dug into why is that student not doing what they're doing? Is it a time management issue? Is it a direction focus issue? Is it they just don't know what the content is, right? So if we're not getting the root cause and then helping improve that, we're just going to keep dealing with symptoms, and surface level behaviors that are going to be ongoing, and the challenge is going to keep increasing. And lastly, what feelings are these accomplishments being attached to? More and more often, like I've said previously, they attach these positive feelings of being productive, of learning new things, the reward. So they start attaching that to that 25 cents they're getting every time. So what usually happens once you stop this type of system, all of a sudden the kids are confused and frustrated because again, they were attaching it to an exterior thing that can be removed. And so we want to avoid doing that. Little brain break, couple puppies, cute. Let our brains refresh real fast before we jump in further, but maybe take a little brain break, a little deep breath. And here we go. So what can we do? What can we do to serve our students to build their internal motivations? One thing is let's use their natural curiosity. Let's get them excited and engaged about learning because that's going to be self-reinforcing where they like that feeling, they want to keep pursuing it. And one way to do that is by building prediction into our activities. And usually at the beginning, kind of like I did at the beginning of this video, have them predict something about the lesson, whether it's maybe what strategy you're going to use to solve this problem or what's going to happen in the story. So by providing them with that opportunity to predict, they're going to sustain their engagement further because they're going to see, I want to see if I'm right or am I wrong. And if they're right, that's exciting and reinforcing. If they're maybe not right or kind of not quite on the right track, you can really emphasize, well, look how much you learned by focusing. And again, it's a self-reinforcing kind of aspect to it. Also, asking open-ended questions and like, I wonder if, or I'm curious if, instead of being direct with the answers to kids, it's going to help again spark their curiosity and get them thinking, which again is going to be feel good when they do kind of figure things out by themselves, which is going to self-reinforce. Another thing we can do is help them develop SMART goals, and it's not us saying, hey, this is your goal. It's having the student create a goal that's personal to them and help them track their incremental progress. And this is important, again, to self reinforce the fact that, hey, I put time in, I put effort in, and I'm getting better because of it. And so it can be a great model to really help the students create them some independence and help take some ownership over their learning. And we want these to be kind of shorter term goals because we look, hey, by the end of the school year, I want to do A, B, and C. That is so far away. That's going to be difficult for them to really see what do I need to do right now to get towards that. And on the flip side too, if a student's not reaching their goals, it can be a great conversation piece of, hey, you didn't reach your goal this week. How much time did you spend reading? How much time did you spend studying? How much time did you spend playing video games or watching TV? So again, it helps reinforce that ownership component of if you want to get better, you got to put the time and effort and energy into doing that. Another thing we want to do is provide achievable challenges during our learning. So if we make things way too difficult or way too easy, kids either going to get overly frustrated or bored and will check out. So we want to kind of find that sweet spot in the middle that's going to, again, stretch them just enough to keep them engaged, but it's still realistic for them. And the more we do that, the more, again, they're going to see, hey, a challenge is an opportunity for me to learn, and it feels good to work through the challenges and to improve and to grow. And the more we do that, again, it becomes a self-fulfilling type cycle where the student keeps seeing challenges, opportunities, as opposed to times to get frustrated or to shut down. And lastly, like always, I want to help them reflect and attach those internal positive feelings, the dopamine, to their actions. Or, hey, you know what? I noticed you worked really hard. I noticed that you were frustrated and you calmed yourself. Then you kind of kept working through it. And so that's again attaching the fact that their actions led to them feeling good, and we want to keep them pursuing that in a healthy way. So here's the same student, added a couple extra details, but now looking from the internal motivation lens. So the same student has fallen back into their habit of not completing their writing assignments. The student has struggled with their writing skills in the past and does not have much confidence in their abilities. What are some ways that we can help develop their internal motivation? Timer starting, 20 seconds, set, go. So last thoughts or idea, if you need to pause the video, by all means do that. So first thing I'm going to suggest doing, let's start with the conversation. I'll ask the student and get them process and think about what are their strengths, where are their areas to improve. Right, this will give us some insight into maybe what skills we need to support them in building and practicing. It could also get some insight into what the root causes of what's really getting in the way of completing their writing assignments. And it also shows that, hey, I care about you and I'm here to support you. I'm here to walk alongside you while still helping them realize there's you're part of this equation. You got to take some ownership over some of the things that you need to improve at. Second thing is using that curiosity component. If a student's struggling with their writing and they're not confident, having them write about things they don't care about is going to make it even more challenging. So if we can get them to write about things that they're interested in, and again build that natural engagement where they're excited to learn about it and they want to learn more about it and they want to maybe write about it. And again, we got to eventually teach them how to write about things that maybe aren't the most interesting. But again, a student who's struggling with their writing and not confident, that's going to be an extra challenge if we don't get something that they're interested in. They can get really focused and self-motivated to pursue. Set goals. Again, once we can kind of get idea what their skills that needs to be built, we can encourage them to kind of create some goals for themselves that are going to help guide them and help see if they're making progress. And so maybe here's an example. If it's a time management goal, maybe around one quality paragraph in 25 minutes or whatever it might be. But again, providing that structure for them, that direction for them is going to help them focus and kind of self-reinforce the fact that I want to get better and this is kind of what I need to do that. Lastly, they make positive steps forward, help them attach that internal feeling to their actions. The more we do that, it creates that positive feedback loop where they're going to do that more and more and more, which is a fantastic thing. Reflect, bring it all together. There's questions over the next 2 minutes. I encourage you to reflect and think about. Ready, set, go. There's just last thoughts, ideas, and as always, send questions my way or attend one of the sessions I'm setting up to reflect on the videos. Cap it off with a little long-term potentiation. What's one concept you can think about for the rest of the day? What you think about is what you bring about. The more we focus on the internal motivations, the better off the kids are going to be. Appreciate your time. Take care. See ya.